with that, we will shift a little bit to something we're all love to hear about, especially in the present time. It's Dr. Huria actually is a global frontier activist in terms of looking at how Islamic finances needs to coexist and should coexist amongst the whole ecosystem. As the Muslim population of the world grows, the understanding of this becomes more and more important. And I think what she does best is to bring the subject to ground. Because we had a chat earlier, a lot of people talk in banking jargon that the end consumer does not understand. And I think, Dr. Huria, in some of your books and your writings and your conversations, you try to make that as comprehensible as possible, which is very important because it's like sustainability. A lot of people use sustainability jargons, but not many people really understand what it means to us as people that is living on the planet. So the floor is yours, Dr. Huria. Over to you.
Thank you very much. So I apologize, Madam Moderator and fellow speakers. I need to wake up from my food coma, so I'll be standing. And since I don't have wonderful pictures and places of interest on my slide, nor a beautiful picture of the city, so I would like to ask this question first before I will start my presentation proper. And Alhamdulillah, we have a very generous Mr. CEO of ASLI here, who has agreed that whoever can answer a very simple question, 2 questions actually, that I'm going to ask now, will get the limited edition Monopoly. So please raise your hand. It's simple. It's just yes and no, but 2 questions. The first question, do you think sustainability is new for Islamic banks? And when you answer without raising your hand, you don't get the Monopoly. And the second, do you think sustainability is new for Islamic law? So you have to answer for both questions. Raise your hand.
I think the gentleman in the white shirt on the left side of the room.
Okay.
Yes,
go ahead.
But I'm not sure which question he wants to answer. Both?
Yes, he has to answer both.
Okay.
First one, yes or no?
It's okay, I'll have just one Monopoly set. No.
The first one, no. And the second one?
No.
What's one? Oh, no, what's one? Okay.
Well,
I can have 2, then yeah, no.
Okay. Actually, the first one, it could be yes and no, depending where you came from. But the second one is no, yes, so you'll get the Monopoly. Thank you. And thank you very much, Daniel. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and good afternoon. Alhamdulillah, wa syukurillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah. La hawla wa la quwata illa billahil aliyil azim. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wahlul 'uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli amma ba'du. I did some changes to my slide last night after I had this short, very brief conversation with Mr. CEO, and also there was a guy who WhatsApped me. He's an expert from one consulting firm in Singapore. I shouldn't mention the name of the firm. Which basically both of them have something in common. They are saying that they have not heard much about Sharia, the sustainability from Sharia viewpoint. So I cannot avoid this jargon, but Sharia simply means the Islamic law. Why I started with asking that question? Because let me first introduce how Islamic law is to finance, to muamalah. I'm not, of course, I understand there are some of you who are already the experts in this, but the reason why I'm still introducing the topic, this particular point, is because I call myself orang dapur, the kitchen guy, the chef. In Islamic finance, I've been in several countries. I've overseen the Middle Eastern countries, APEC, when I was with one of the group here. I was actually responsible for all Islamic business of the group. And also my own country, which is quite recent. But the practice from country to country is different. Therefore, sometimes our understanding of Islamic finance in banking could also differ. So let me introduce how the general understanding of Sharia is when it comes to financing, how it differs from conventional. Because you see, depending on where you are, certain regulation actually will force the industry to behave just like the conventional banks. So you don't see much difference. But there are places where I've been, I worked there as well in the past, where we actually have completely different way of doing Islamic banks, Islamic banking, offering completely different kind of Islamic products and services as well. Okay, similar to conventional bank, both banks, commercial entities, they are mostly profit driven. But for Sharia or Islamic institution, it cannot stop there. No matter how much your focus for profit is, you are actually limited by this very parameter that it must align with Sharia. That's why I would like to introduce what is Sharia. Why it is important, because if you claim yourself that you are doing your business,
15 minutes also.
Islamic banking business with Islamic license, or in Saudi Arabia, for example, they don't have specific license for Islamic, but they can actually adopt to do it Islamic way, then you have to make sure that what you do is aligned with the parameter. So I had this chat with Tasha earlier on. I left Malaysia in 2003. I went to UK at that time, we migrated to the UK. And when I got back, as I was asked to actually introduce a few things new to the industry in Malaysia back in 2014. So that was like 11 years later. I didn't see much change. The way how we did business, Islamic banking. At the beginning, why we did what we did was because we used this justification that Islamic banking was new. Therefore, we do whatever we could do just to actually facilitate, to enable the banking business. Or the word used at that time, because Islamic finance was at the state of infancy. But the Islamic finance has been around for over 2 decades, 3 decades, 4 decades, depending where you are. I don't think there is an infant who is 40 years old. When you are 40 years old, most probably even your infant is going to be a teenager already. So it's not an excuse actually. But the advantage of doing Islamic banking, if you get away from the thought that it is just mere business and try to embrace the very idea, the very notion why it is called Islamic banking, first of all, because it is based on Sharia, it has to be done responsibly. When we provide financing, when we provide products and services, it is our obligation, even if it is not imposed by the authority, it is our obligation to comply with Sharia, and therefore you cannot cause any harm at all to your client, to the environment, to whatever. You have to do it responsibly. Therefore, the idea of sustainability is already there from day one actually. You cannot cause any harm to self, to others, nor to environment either. And then of course the very basic of Islamic law, the Sharia, you cannot do riba. So because you cannot do riba, you either do profit sharing or you do fee basis kind of business. When you do profit sharing, you also share the risk. Of course, when you share the risk, you have to be more responsible in doing it, because it's not only your potential profitability there, but also your potential accountability. And then fee basis, that will actually provide certainty in the transaction. And this is where the issue of Islamic banks was still in the state of infancy was relevant. The industry at that time tend to stick too much into avoiding what is haram and stop there. That's not the whole idea of Sharia. That's why that's why I asked, do you think sustainability is new for the Islamic banks? The answer could be yes, because many have been doing this. They're just actually focusing on avoiding what is forbidden. But they don't go a step further, whether it is something that, it could be something, in Islam we have Forbidden we call haram. Haram definitely you cannot do it. If you do it, your transaction is not valid. The second one, we also have makruh. Something which you can do, but if you avoid it, you get the reward from God. Now we are actually stepping into this. But there is a better version, what we call sunnah. Sunnah meaning that if you don't do it, it's okay. But if you do it, you get the reward from God. We should be aiming this. And I will tell you the reason why later on. But these are the factors that differentiate Islamic banking business from the conventional one. And then we also have, the pointer over there, yes. We have ziswaf. This is zakat, infak, sadaqah, and wakaf. You can never sever this from Islamic transaction, Islamic muamalah we call it. This is social finance. Before even you introduce the notion of ESG, before we got to know ESG, before SDGs were there, this is already part and parcel of Sharia. It's always been there since the time the Prophet introduced it. This is something that definitely differentiates. But when we talk about Islamic finance, we never talk about it. We always just say, oh, cannot do riba. That's it. Why always like what you cannot do? Why you don't actually also put the emphasis on what you can do for the society? This is where the ziswaf, zakat, infak, sadaqat, wakaf could actually create inclusion, could actually increase the well-being, the prosperity of the ummah in a wider scope. And then the next one, tabarruk and ta'awun. Some people familiar with takaful may be thinking of takaful here. Well, you use that concept in takaful. Ta'awun meaning operation. Tabarruk meaning you help each other. We have this concept from day one when Islam was introduced. And I'm sharing a little story very shortly. Oh my God, my time is almost kalas already. Where basically in Indonesia you'll find those people who are unbanked people, but they have been doing quite good business. They actually cooperate with each other. They create their own Baitul Mal. They put money together and they agree on the profit sharing. So this is actually being done in Indonesia. The concept of tabarruk and ta'awun. And no hoarding, of course. This is something that costs, I have very little time. Okay, the reason why I was saying that Islamic finance has to actually step a bit further because we are focusing so much on halal. Halal meaning you can do it. But in the Quran, whenever you are asked to do something, it never stops at halal. It's always halalan toyiban. Toyiban meaning good. You cannot just stop as making sure that it is okay to do it. But on top of that, you have to make sure that it gives good impact and it doesn't have any negative effects. Therefore, we have this element of quality. So things can differ. For example, a medicine could be good for most people, but if I'm allergic to it, it is not toyiban for me. It is halal. So the ruling will differ depending on individual, whether the substance is harmful or not, whether it will endanger the user. This is halal, everyone knows about it. It could be zati, it could be hukmi. What I mean by hukmi, something could be halal by itself as a substance. In Indonesia, only a couple of days ago, our council has already issued a fatwa. Any product produced in Israel is haram. So the hukum, the ruling will change. By itself, the product could be halal, but because of the ruling, it could change. Become haram. Likewise, there was a fatwa in Indonesia that said cryptocurrency haram. Because basically the BI was not supporting of it. But I myself, I actually wrote a paper with, in my opinion, in my view, cryptocurrency is halal. So the hukmi could change depending on the circumstances around it. But the ethical part is very important. This is where my second question, do you think sustainability is new to Sharia? It is not. It has always been there because in order to be toyibah, you have to take a look at the process. You have to take a look at the effects, the impact to the society and the impact to the earth. And this has been warned, in fact, in the Quran. That what we witness, the damage, the whatever destruction that we witness on the land, in the sea, are actually the effect of the hand of humans. Why? Because we don't care about this. We have been warned, yet we didn't care, we didn't do it. And since our topic is about Islamic financing, so even Islamic financing must actually consider all this. Because otherwise it's not Tayyibah. When it is not Tayyibah, you are not, by the way, these are all order. When order, if you do it, you get the reward from God. If you don't do it, you get the punishment. So for the Islamic banks to say that, it's halal, it doesn't have to be Tayyibah. No, this is very wrong because they're actually doing something which is in violation of the Quran. And you can compare here between the UN SDGs and Maqasid Syariah. We call it Maqasid Syariah. There is the objective of Syariah, which has always been there. We have the main 5 things that we need to preserve in everything that we do from the moment we wake up in the morning until we go back to sleep again at night. We have to actually, here I actually put it here, preserve the religion, preserve the life, preserve the intellect, preserve the lineage, preserve the wealth. So in whatever you do, including for financial institution, if what you do will actually cause impact to this, negative impact, you cannot do it. Because then you don't serve the purpose of the Sharia. And better still, as I said, upgrade yourself. Don't stop as just fulfilling the halal and just avoiding the makruh, but doing the sunnah. Do something that can actually have good impact to the society. And it's all there. So not just halal, I put here, to do halal, avoid haram, but always also avoid makruh and to do sunnah. Time's up, my last page. Okay. These are the contemporary application of the sustainability. That's why I said, depending on where you are, if you are in Malaysia, your answer may be no. Because you already have green and SRI, Sukuk, FBI, blended financing. And last week, I was invited by the Security Commission to their event with the World Bank, where basically they have already launched the guidance on the Maqasid Syariah. So yeah, in Malaysia it's not new, but if you come from so many other countries, depend. In Indonesia, it is relatively new because the POJK was just introduced last week for the sustainability. And for some other countries, this is quite interesting, especially in MENA region, the Middle East and North Africa. They have been doing it, but they don't call it as whatever you call it, SRI, Sukuk, but they've been doing it. They actually contribute direct towards the real economy, which is actually the paramount idea suggested by Muamalah Sharia in Islamic law. But they don't call it so. Therefore, maybe because sometimes when you don't announce that you do it, it doesn't get measured, and therefore, not many people know about it. In Indonesia, we have the sovereign green sukuk. Just a year after Malaysia introduced the sukuk, the green sukuk, we have the CWLS, cash wakaf list sukuk. This is very, very interesting product. We won the ISDB award for this product last year. This year actually, sorry, we are still in 2023. And since I don't have time, but for the benefit of the audience, I have actually included the data that you may need at the back of my slide. So feel free, if you need them, if you want to actually read them, reach out to the organizer. And if you need any clarification, any explanation, or maybe you just want to debate, feel free. Get my contact from the organizer, and I'll be very happy to actually discuss with you. With that, thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam. Thank you so much, Dr. Huria. I know this topic, like all the topics, it cannot be summarized as quickly as we want to, but whoever wants the slides for any of the presentation, please reach out to me or my colleagues. We will be happy to share them with you with the permission of the panelists. And I think you're right, there needs to be less stereotypes and more open mind into because actually we all share the same ethics, we all share the same earth, and we need to share the same future. If not, time will be up very, very soon.